that intro was a little bit dramatic, but once I've got your attention, this is the FIZ Box Pro by Camerabotics. So essentially what this is an interface between Lensmaster and your lens control. So you can control features of your lens, including the focus, iris, and the zoom. Now this new version of the box has only been recently released, and what this introduces is control over Ethernet, and that really makes for a much more simpler and cohesive workflow. And the previous version would have been using USB as the communication medium. In this video, I'm going to take you through the physical construction, the ports, the menus, and even show you how to set that up in Lensmaster. Now this right here is the product, and it comes shipped in the box. So you get the FIZ Box Pro and you get the snap mounting connector that comes with it. I've currently got that set up on my robot at the moment, but that is what comes in the box. There's no additional cables or accessories, so you'll have to get those depending on the system that you're using, depending on your particular setup. We have the power port that accepts 7 to 24 volts DC, so you've got quite a lot of flexibility in terms of powering this device. We've got the Ethernet port, so like I said, this is quite different than the previous version. This is where we're going to be communicating to Lensmaster via something like an Ethernet switch. So if you have other accessories, for example like the action server, you would already have an Ethernet switch, so you can seamlessly connect everything on that. Coming around on the opposite side, we have a USB port, and this is to allow you to upgrade this for future firmware and software upgrades. And we have a LEMO connector just here, and this is where you would connect your FIZ motors. On this side of the box, you've got your digital screen as well as your menu buttons, and we'll go through that in a second. Now this is the tilter variant, and you've got various versions of this particular box. I'm using tilter motors, so that is the one that would work for me. So let's just connect this up and see how it works. So I'm just going to power this box up and just take you through the menu options. So I've got my power here, just coming from a V-mount battery just there. So there's no switch, there's no power switch. As soon as you apply power, this would power up, and you'll be greeted with this homepage. And basically what's on here is the values. So it gives you a real-time readout of the values of your motors in terms of percentage. So it'll tell you what percentage your motor is currently at with regards to its position. It also gives you a status here to show you whether or not you're connected or disconnected, in this case from Lensmaster. We'll go through the connection setup in just a few. Before that, I'll just run you through a few of the menu items. It's not a very deep menu. So to get into the menu, we press the middle button, and then in here we can change some parameters like the IP address and the subnet mask. And we can also get information about the firmware version that is currently installed. There's one more function in here if we were to go back, and this is the flip screen. So depending on how your box is currently mounted to your rig, that might be a handy thing, so you can read the text in the correct position. And that is pretty much the menu. So let's go into the connection. So as I mentioned before, this communicates via Ethernet. So if we plug our Ethernet cable into this port, and this is connected to our Ethernet switch, which is in turn connected to Lensmaster. So if we head over to the settings menu and we select the FIZ motor tab, then we can select what box it is that we're using or what system. So at the moment we're using the Tilter Nucleus FIZ Box Pro, and we would select that. And what is important here is the IP address. So what we need to make sure here is that the IP address that we have in here matches the IP address that is on the FIZ Box Pro. Next, we're going to hit apply, and then we head back out. And what we got to do here is connect. So once we hit connect, the status should now change to connected here in Lensmaster. And also if we look at our FIZ box, we can see that status is also changed to connected. The next thing we're going to do is connect our motors up. So there's no further power requirements for your motors. You just plug that right in there and you go ahead and power up your motors. And if it's set up like that, it will try to go through the calibration mode. So I'm just going to force a calibration here by stopping these manually. Okay, so let's say we had some lens connected to these. These are now calibrated and they're ready to go. If I head over to Lensmaster, you can see that when I jog the focus and the zoom, we can see those changing. What is really cool about this particular box as well, if we right click on this, we can calibrate the motors from the software. So if you're already connected to your camera and you know it's way over there, you can just go in here and just recalibrate either all or individually. So if we hit the focus, for example, we can see the calibration has started, and again there's no lens connected here, so I'm gonna have to do this manually. And so if you hit the all button for the calibrate, then it would calibrate all of the motors that are currently connected to the FIZ box. Again, what I was mentioning before about the real-time status or the real-time position values. For example, if I jog the focus, we can see the focus values changing. Now in terms of flexibility, when it comes to mounting, this comes with a really cool snap-on connector or snap-on mount. And you can see how I use it on my rig. So I've got this mounted to my camera rig just on top of my existing input-output box. And essentially for powering that, I've just tapped into my box for a 12-volt supply, and I've got it mounted there. If I need to take it off, it's just a matter of releasing it. So let's say I wanted to use my robot as a model mover, for example, and I wanted to position my camera on the tripod. I can then just take this box, add it to the tripod setup, and I've got all my FIZ controls as the robot moves the product around. Now obviously this box is only really applicable if you're part of the Camerabotics Lensmaster ecosystem, and it's just another way to streamline your workflow. And I'm always trying to improve my workflow in any little way that I can. And that is pretty much it for this overview on the FIZ Box Pro. If you are thinking about getting this box, then you can use my referral code. It's in the description. So you can use that in the inquiry form and you'll get a percentage of this product. But that is it for me on this video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.